Hi all, welcome back. It's Kenny and Sheriff.
Yes, yes, yes.
Tonight we are going to talk about job interviews and stuttering.
That's right.
What are some of the most important things to keep in mind when going on a job interview and you have this impediment? Luckily for you guys, Sheriff has quite a bit of experience with that, and he is going to talk about it tonight. So I'm going to give him the stage, and he will talk to you guys on this Christmas Eve. By the way, Merry Christmas Eve, everybody.
Merry Christmas.
So here we go. So Sheriff is going to take over.
Thanks, Kenny. So with this new Christmas and coming New Year, Kenny and I were talking of what are some important issues that we want to communicate to our audience that we think would really help you and maybe could open some dialogue up, and we could get feedback from our audience, and that's what we're trying to do here. So we came up with this idea of top tips for our interviewing, and I think I have some good ones that have worked for me in the past. So here are the top ones. Firstly, when you do your due diligence on a company and you do decide to apply, don't forget on your application to mark disabled there. Stuttering is a disability. A lot of times these big companies have separate recruiters that deal with disabilities, and they do have quotas to fill. So I know for me personally, I have never thought about myself as being disabled at all. Up until a couple weeks ago, I never even thought I had a disability. I thought stuttering was just something that I did. But think of all the suffering that you may have gone through in your life. I know that I have. If there's this little one thing to be classified correctly, I think you'd be cheating yourself if you didn't take advantage of that. Would you agree, Kenny?
Sure.
Okay, so that's number one. Number two, it's got to be a pure research on your end. Before you go and meet with the interviewer, you have to be confident, and confidence only comes when you do your research. Know everything about the company inside and out. I don't want to say memorize everything that they're asking of you in their job posting, but read it like a dozen times. You just be comfortable with the verbiage, see what the language is that they're using, and so on. Read the annual reports, read about the company, read about the competitors, know what you're talking about. Number three, and I've found this pretty helpful myself as of very recent. A lot of companies now have a lot of information on YouTube, and in that, top executives talk about what the role is in the company and where they're going in the future, where they've been in the past. And what's very important about this is you could kind of parrot their tone, the subject matter, the ideas and concepts that are important to them and the company. For me, I had a big job interview, and I watched a lot of these videos, and I was just hoping for a quick 90 seconds anywhere in that hour that I could just tear something off that I know would be a home run, because the top executive said so. Don't you agree, Kenny?
I do.
You think that's a good idea? Yeah, I think so too.
You got to know who you're talking to.
Yeah, know your audience.
Yep.
Know your audience. Third, stuttering comes with a lot of anxiety, with a lot of stress, and you don't want to compound that with other things that could give you anxiety or stress. And what I'm getting at is give yourself ample time to get to the interview. Pick out your clothes beforehand, what you're going to wear to the interview. have your resume already printed and in your briefcase ready to go. Know what the address is to the place. Even if you're there half an hour early, believe me, it's much better to get there half an hour early than 5-10 minutes late.
That's one less thing to worry about.
Yeah, one less thing to worry about. And if God forbid that happens, I mean, now you're nervous. Things are already on the wrong foot.
And you're already nervous because
and
you
the
have a
cogs start
stutter
turning and you're stuttering. Make it worse. You don't want to be in that position.
Mm-hmm.
Take care of everything so that the stuttering is all that's left. And with that, this is the next step. To disarm the interviewer about the stutter, if it happens, and it probably will. It depends
for sure
what your case is. If it happens, it's not the end of the world. What works for me is I pause, I apologize, and then I go on again, you know. And when I have done that, I found I had a very nice reception from the interviewee. Don't force the words out in a manner that makes it very nervous, high anxiety, high pressure. And again, you know, stutterers only make up 3 million people in the U.S. And
so I have a question for you. I'm going to cut you off there. You said that when you're, from experience in your job interviews, when you stop and apologize and you continue again, do you start over? Like we talked about on a previous episode? Because I'm just trying to tie everything together so for it to make sense. So do you start all over with your sentence, or do you just continue that thought and just move forward with that sentence or that point that you're trying to make?
So I pause, I apologize, and I carry on where I left off. I don't begin from the very beginning.
Right, and that's what I was...
something that is talked about.
Yeah.
And that kind of leads me to my next point, Kenny. You know, as stutterers, we know in advance what words we're going to get caught up on. It's just a fact of life. I know when I heard Joe Biden talk about it, I was pretty surprised that he understood some of the things that I went through, and I found this tip had worked for me very well. I would talk out loud some of my answers to some of the most generic interview questions.
Yeah, because you don't know everything they're going to ask you, but the most generic interview answers, questions, you're gonna get them.
Absolutely, like questions like, "Tell me about yourself."
Yeah,
and just go through your resume, and talk it out. It should be 90 seconds or so, or how long do you think it should be?
For each question?
Minutes. No, tell me about yourself.
Tell me about yourself should probably be about 2 minutes. That's
a couple minutes.
That's it.
Just have
don't go on and on and on and on.
Exactly. Have a nice narration of where you've been, where you hope to go, and what your experience is.
Mm-hmm.
And also talk out loud some of your experiences at each a job you've had. Just some things, your achievements, what you're doing to day, and how it ties into the job. I think that would go a long way, and it gives us that sort of a muscle memory that I have found to be helpful at job interviews. And finally, there's this one a question that usually comes up. A lot of people have very generic answers to this question, and I could tell you employers see right through it. Tell me your biggest weakness. Yeah. I work too hard, Kenny. That's my biggest weakness.
You and everybody else that's been in here.
Exactly right. I work too hard.
Yeah.
That's not a good answer.
No.
Okay. What is a good answer? Talk about your stuttering. No matter what your job is, the fact is, it may take 5 seconds longer for you to communicate.
Plus,
something.
it's who you are.
Yeah, and it's who you are. Look, it's not a secret.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's not going to be like from the second you go into interviews door, you're completely cured for the rest of your life. Let's take it in context. Okay?
Well, that's also another way of saying that, putting that is like you're not hiding from it. You're addressing it, you know,
and turn it into a positive. Say say something like I try to counteract that by doubling down on the research, or saying something like it's taught me how to be a courageous. You know, it may be a tough, but I've gotten used to it, and you know I've had such and such achievements despite this.
Because really, those are the things they want to hear.
Exactly,
because that's you. That you're not just trying there, and you're just trying to sit there and spew all this stuff about how great you are and how much, you know, how they should hire you because of XYZ, but that's what everybody else says. What makes you unique? This is actually something that makes you unique. Don't you agree?
Yeah, I agree.
Even though it's an impediment, disability, ailment, however you want to call it, that's what makes you you. It makes you Sherv. It makes me Kenny. It makes the next guy whoever.
It doesn't make you any less of a candidate because you stutter. As
Correct.
you saw on our last episode, episode 3, some huge athletes, some huge politicians, some huge celebrities, all had to deal with this.
Well, it probably even goes deeper than that. It's not just celebrities or actors or athletes or anything like that. But how do we know? Like in everyday life of, you know, non-famous people, maybe high-profile lawyers or finance people or Wall Street or doctors or whoever that are in these like high prestigious positions. How do we know they don't? I'm sure they do.
And it doesn't matter if
it doesn't
if you
hold
went
them back.
to a family physician, for example, and they stuttered. Would you care?
No.
Would you rather?
Because I'm not there to like judge or test their speech. I want them to tell me what's the matter with me.
I'm there because he's a good doctor.
Yeah.
That's exactly what it is. You're there because he's a good doctor.
Right.
And just like that, you're a good employee, and you should show that off to your interviewer.
Right.
So I guess that's all of the tips I have. Kenny, do you have any thoughts you would like to share?
That's actually it. All of those were perfect. I couldn't have said it better myself. So
no pun intended.
Yeah. So yeah, guys, that's pretty much it. Just to the point in that episode on that topic, and we will see you guys tomorrow on Christmas, and we'll have a pretty short and sweet episode then. We don't want to keep you guys on the holiday.
And as always, please don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe.
That's
we
right.
appreciate your feedback very much.
Yep. Thanks, guys.
Take care.